If you're a cyclist, a runner, a swimmer, you know that feeling. You're deep into a race or a hard workout, and you hit that wall. But what if I told you the key to smashing through that wall isn't just about logging more hours? What if it's about understanding the tiny, microscopic battle happening inside every single one of your muscle cells? Let's get into the science that could completely change the way you train.
We always talk about the big stuff, right? Our heart, our lungs. We get obsessed with metrics like VO2 max and lactate threshold. But what is it that truly decides if you've got that kick for the final climb, or if you fade in the last mile of that marathon? Well, the answer is actually much, much smaller than you think. You see, the real action, the whole story of endurance, it's playing out at a level you can't even see. The secret is buried deep inside the machinery of your muscle cells. So if we want to train smarter, we have to stop just thinking about training our body and start thinking about how we train ourselves.
Okay, so let's zoom all the way in. Let's pretend we can shrink down and actually take a tour inside one of your muscle cells. We're about to meet the key players that are responsible for every single pedal stroke, every stride, every pull in the water. Once you understand their jobs, you can start training them to be better.
First up, you've got the absolute rock stars of the endurance world, the mitochondria. Seriously, think of these as the power plants inside your cells. They are these super efficient little factories that take the fuel you give them, fats, carbs, and they use oxygen to crank out something called ATP. That's the energy currency that makes your muscles actually contract. It's simple. The more mitochondria you have, the more power you can produce aerobically.
And then, over here, we've got the main office, the command center, the nucleus. This is where the blueprints are kept. Your DNA is in there, and it has the instructions for building, well, everything. So when your cell needs to get stronger, maybe by building more mitochondria, the orders have to come directly from here.
And finally, let's meet the unsung heroes of this whole operation, the lysosomes. This is the cell's demolition and renewal crew. I mean, their job is to break down and recycle old, worn-out parts of the cell. And this cleanup process is absolutely critical. You have to clear out the old junk to make way for new, stronger stuff to be built.
All right, so now that we've met the whole team, how do we actually get them to work for us? Well, it turns out there are two main signals, two big levers we can pull with our training that basically force our cells to get better.
The first lever is what we call the anabolic signal. It's like a chain reaction. First, you create a major stress. Think a really hard set of intervals, or lifting something heavy. Your body responds by pumping out anabolic hormones, like growth hormone and testosterone. These guys then travel through your blood, find the muscles you just hammered, and they knock on the door of the nucleus and say, hey, time to start building.
And what's so wild is that to your hormonal system, stress is just stress. Your body can't really tell the difference between the stress of a killer workout and the stress of watching a horror movie. But, and this is the key, if you're just stressed out sitting on the couch, those powerful hormones have nowhere to go. They just get cleaned up by your liver. For that growth to actually happen, the hormones have to find muscle that was just working. So stress plus activity, that's the magic formula for adaptation.
Now, for the second lever, acidity. You know that burning feeling you get deep in your muscles during a really tough effort? That comes from a buildup of hydrogen ions, which makes the cell acidic. But that burn is actually a signal. It's what wakes up the lysosomes, our demolition crew, and tells them to start cleaning house. This is a good thing. It clears out old, inefficient mitochondria so we can build new, better ones. That's how you boost your endurance.
Okay, so we're sending signals to our cells, but here's the thing. Not all of your muscle fibers are the same. Your muscles are really a team of different specialists, and you need to know who you're talking to when you train. So you basically have two main types. Your slow twitch fibers, these are your marathon runners. They are just packed with mitochondria, they don't get tired easily, and they're great at using fat for fuel. They do all the work during those long, easy aerobic days. Then you have your fast twitch fibers. These are your sprinters. They are incredibly powerful and fast, but they have very few mitochondria, so they burn out super quickly. They're what you use for that final sprint to the finish line or a super steep, punchy climb.
So we've got the cell parts, we've got the two signaling levers, and we've got the different types of muscle fibers. Now that we know all this, we can finally lay out some really powerful and maybe even surprising rules for how to actually train effectively.
This right here might be one of the single most important ideas for any endurance athlete to really get. Your long, slow distance work is fantastic for building a base, don't get me wrong. But if that's all you do, you're leaving a huge amount of potential speed and power just sitting there, completely untapped. And the reason why comes down to a fundamental rule of how your brain talks to your muscles.
It's called Henneman's size principle. And basically, your brain is efficient. It's kind of lazy, in a good way. For an easy effort, like just a comfortable jog, it's only going to bother to recruit the small, efficient, slow-twitch fibers. It's not going to call in the big, powerful, gas-guzzling, fast-twitch fibers unless it absolutely has to. The only way to force it to wake them up is to crank up the intensity.
And this chart shows it perfectly. Look, at a low effort, you're only training one type of fiber, your slow-twitch ones. As you push harder, getting closer to race pace, you start to bring in some of those fast-twitch guys, but it's only when you go to a near maximal effort, we're talking an all-out sprint, that you force your brain to recruit 100% of your available muscle fibers. To get faster overall, you have to train all your fibers, not just your endurance specialist.
Now, when you do that high-intensity work, yeah, you're gonna get sore. For years, everybody blamed lactic acid for this. That's just flat out wrong. Lactic acid is gone from your muscles within an hour or so. The real reason you get that deep soreness that shows up a day or two later is from actual physical damage, tiny, microscopic tears in the muscle fibers themselves. This damage causes swelling, and that swelling is what pushes on your pain receptor.
And this brings us to a really crucial warning. While a little bit of damage and a little bit of that acidity are the signals we need for growth, there is a tipping point. If you spend way too much time in that highly acidic state, think about those long grinding intervals where the burn just never, ever goes away, you can actually overactivate the lysosomes. Instead of just cleaning up old parts, they start destroying healthy tissue, like your hard-earned mitochondria. That's called catabolism, and it's making you weaker, not stronger.
Okay, let's pull all these pieces together. It's time to reframe how we think about a workout. We're moving away from just burning calories and toward the idea of intelligently sending the right signals.
So here's the bottom line. Every workout needs to have a purpose at the cellular level. What are you trying to do? If you want to send a growth signal, you need that high-stress, high-intensity effort to get the hormones flowing. If you want to trigger that renewal signal, you need short, controlled bursts of intensity to create that acidity. And if you want to be as fast as possible, you absolutely must train all your muscle fibers with near maximal efforts, all while being super careful to not overdo the acidity and break yourself down.
When you boil it all down, it's this. Smart, effective training is really just a form of communication with your cells. It's about knowing exactly which buttons to push and when, to tell your body exactly how you want it to adapt. It's not about suffering more. It's about signaling with more precision.
So the next time you get ready for a workout, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you just going out there to get tired and accumulate fatigue, just hoping for the best? Or are you deliberately sending the very specific biological signals that are going to force your body to adapt, to rebuild, and to literally evolve into a stronger, faster, and more resilient athlete? By understanding what's happening at the cellular level, you take control. The choice is yours.